Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Lorraine HD, and welcome to my guest, Shula, the first guest that gets to shoot with me in my apartment. So,
feel very lucky. Thank you so much. My name is Shula Melamed. I am a relationship and wellness coach, and I work with couples and single people on issues of intimacy, communication, relationships, dating, and all of that good stuff.
So basically, there's so many things that we could be talking about today because relationship is, part of life, but most of all, when you contract herpes, it becomes like this daunting thing that you don't know how to approach anymore. But today, I really want to focus on a specific case scenario that I hear from you guys so often and that I actually went through myself after hearing about my diagnosis. Is like, you withdraw yourself from the dating scene. And that period of time can be from a week to 6 months to years, like decade for some people. And I want to discuss basically how to make that time constructive. Is it a good thing to withdraw yourself from the dating scene in the first place? And how can you basically use that time to be at your best, to feel at your best, to know what you want, and then when you get back in it, when you're meeting people and having fun again, to make sure that it's for you, for the best.
Well, is it normal is basically the question that I get all the time, and
yeah.
No matter what it is, with relationships or sexuality, that's always a question, and the answer is usually yes. And the follow-up to it is, why are you deciding to withdraw from dating? Obviously, getting a diagnosis of herpes is something that can be life-changing, and it's information that you have about your body and your health, and because it's something that is so stigmatized and misunderstood, and there's a lot of fear around it, people tend to withdraw to kind of figure out what this means for your health and for your body, and how do you make sure that you have a healthy immune system, and also just dealing with kind of the initial shock of it.
That's what I was about to add. It's like, it feels like it is life-changing when you contract it, and then after a few years of actually living with it, you actually realize that you have done things to optimize your health and your immune system, as you were talking about, that you are taking care of better of your sleep, of your nutrition, of so many aspects of your
levels.
life. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it is life-changing, but for me, in terms of lifestyle, it actually was life-changing for the best, because I really got to be aware and in tune with my body. If someone, a viewer, let's say, was to come to you and was to say, this is what I have, I contracted herpes, I'm not so self-confident with it, but I know I don't want it to be like the end of my sex life and love life. Where do we start? How can you help me?
Let's really talk about how it felt when you first got the diagnosis, and just work through those emotions and understand and have empathy for yourself and be like, okay, this was hard, And then the second part is to understand that it's not, it's just a diagnosis, right? It doesn't define who you are. It is just a part of your human organism. When people have issues disclosing or thinking about disclosing, it really indicates how uncomfortable we are talking about sex with our partners, which is so interesting because, we're being very intimate with them, yet we're afraid to talk to them about something very simple, a safety precaution or something that you have going on with your body that might be something for them to consider. So I think that, just kind of asking them if they have any other kind of issues of shame around sexuality and talking that through and being like, okay, well, this is nothing to be ashamed of. It's just something that you have. It's not who you are. This is going to make you have more in-depth and more interesting conversations around sex. This is an opportunity for you to be a real advocate for your own body and for your own pleasure. A lot of times when you have a really good sense of self-worth and understanding that you are lovable, regardless of what your situation is, those people usually have an easier time with the diagnosis because they have a strong foundation. And if there are some people who are maybe younger or less experienced or have a few more issues with shame or around their body, then we really have to start working on that self-worth and that self-love. Really cultivating a really strong understanding of the fact that they are worthy of love and they are worthy of, operating this beautiful body that they've been given, no matter what has happened.
So some viewers who come to me with similar questions, I actually redirect them towards a similar path where it's like, I basically tell them, look at what has happened. You have had a herpes diagnosis added to your plate, but nothing got taken away from you. You still have your beauty, your smarts, your personality, your achievements. Like, I help them recalibrate their emotion according to what is actually happening. And sometimes the reaction feels like they're dealing with something that is much more significant than what they're actually dealing with. So when do you have like tricks or steps or things that people could do every morning waking up, you know, things that they could tell themselves?
Or they have fear, you're like, well, what are you afraid of? Are you afraid of, you know, like maybe some people fixate on like passing it on and like, what if I pass it on? What is this? What is that? And you know, I ask, what is that about? And usually it's about, I'm afraid of being rejected. I'm afraid of not being loved. I'm afraid of not being lovable because of this. And so what you were saying is so true. It's like cultivating all of the other things that you do have. You know, this does not take anything away from you. You're not damaged goods, you know, and I think that if they start thinking of themselves that way, just, you know, flipping the script. So like a really beautiful thing for them to say to themselves in the morning, like you're saying, is like, this is only going to take away from me as much as I allow it to.
Well said.
So, yeah.
It's not so much getting back in the dating life, it's also like getting back, just like the idea of dating, the first date, and getting past that big, you know, moment that you build up in your head. How can people who are watching this video and who feel like they're ready and feel like they really want it, but somehow there's this door that seems bigger than, you know, than it should, how can they go open it and cross it?
Any person that you share this with that can't handle it or has an immediate reaction that is hurtful towards you, that you have the resilience and you have the self-created strength and kind of standard for yourself, that if somebody is going to just be like, oh, you have herpes, I'm scared of you, that you're dealing with somebody who is not a curious person, is not somebody who's going to be like, well, what does that mean? And you know, how does that work? And people have reactions. People will have reactions to this and to the diagnosis, and I'm sure like a lot of you guys have experienced that. And
we would have had reactions too had we been in the opposite position. Like, I don't know what it would have felt like, but if someone told me like I have herpes or I have an STI and I was STI negative, I probably would have had a reaction too. Having reactions is normal.
Remember, you know, you are going out to see if you want to go out on another date with them. Like, that's why you're going out with them. And when the conversation comes up, it comes up. But remember, it's not like just you're putting yourself out there to either be accepted or rejected because you have an STI. That's not what's going on. You're a human being who wants to connect with another human being, and this is just one of the things that you bring with it. You know, if you are rude to another person or you make another person feel like they're less than just because they have an STI, like maybe just like check your humility, you know?
Yeah, big time. It's not about if you don't want to have an intimate relationship with someone who has an STI, then you're an asshole.
No,
that's not what we're saying.
Yeah, that's not
what we're saying is if you make this person feel worthless, or if you shame them for having an STI, then you're getting closer to the asshole than the good person. That's
and
it.
You gotta check yourself a little bit because it's another person you're dealing with.
Yes.
You know, people talk about it like in a way that's very, you know, it's jokes and media and stuff like that, but you know, it's like the joke's on everybody else who doesn't know how to deal with it. So,
boom. No, but I really like what you're saying, because basically what I'm hearing from you is that a lot of people think that getting back in the dating scene happens when you find someone who is accepting of your diagnosis, but actually it starts with you being accepting of your diagnosis and you knowing 100% how to process it, so that then you are not putting that responsibility that you can't even handle on someone else, but this is a journey that you're doing together.
Yeah, and also when you have an understanding of yourself and really own, you know, who you are, what you've been through, then you are also able to act in a way that's also caring and responsible towards other people. So disclosing or being honest when you feel like an itch or something's going on and you feel like maybe you're having an outbreak, you will do things that will take care of yourself and other people as well.
Yeah. Okay, so case scenario, you get back comfortable with yourself, with your diagnosis. Here comes this person that you're attracted to. You disclose it to this person, they're understanding, they want to keep things moving.
Right.
How do you make sure that this relationship stays a healthy one? Because there's a lot of people with herpes who get back in the dating scene, first person that is accepting of their diagnosis, they're like, well, I better marry them because I don't know when it's going to happen again that someone is understanding and accepting.
I've worked with people where they have a diagnosis of herpes and then they meet somebody and it's not a good relationship. You know, the person's like, well, I mean, you better stay with me because nobody else is going to accept you. And if anybody says that to you, no matter if you have a diagnosis or not, it's a good idea to just maybe, move on. But so it doesn't mean that you're not allowed to fight.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that like every time there's like an issue that you have to take like the kind of the lower position, because like nobody should use your diagnosis or anything that like that you've already discussed as something against you. That is manipulation and that's control, and that's definitely a red flag. That's not even an orange flag, it's a red flag. So it's something to talk about.
Red.
Yes, it's a bright red.
So let's say you have been in a relationship with someone and that person has said things that were upsetting or that just didn't feel nice to you. So how do you make sure that that experience doesn't get you back to the point of where you were, where you feel like abstaining from any dating life is actually a better solution for you?
When anyone tries to devalue you because of anything that you have, it's an indication that it's more about them and how they want you to be rather than who you are. So it would be really important for you to check in with yourself and be like, okay, this person is trying to make me feel bad about this particular, like, just this one thing about me, not this holistic view of who I am. And I need to check in with myself and be like, no, I have a lot to offer. There's no reason why this one feature of my physical health makes me unacceptable or makes me, not somebody who somebody else would want to date. And it's basically their loss.
Yeah, totally. And that's, you just also have to accept that sometimes there are things that are up to you to change, and sometimes there are things that are out of your control.
Exactly.
And if a person says that they're ready, but keeps saying things that feel, kind of really mean or not considerate towards you, then it means that they're not ready, and there's only so much you can do to help them get there.
Yes, it's your job to make them feel comfortable by understanding your body and explaining to them, what it means and how it feels and what, you are doing in order to keep yourself healthy and what you guys can do together to make sure that there's, no transmission. Of course, after an experience like that, it can be quite traumatic, and it can feel, you can feel rejected, and you can feel angry and hurt and have that feeling of like, why me? Why is this happening? Like, why did I have to get this in the first place? It's your job and it's your purpose on this earth to really accept yourself and to really understand that you are a person of value. So when that comes up, just pay attention to it and say, like, well, what am I really saying? Like, what's next? Like, I can't change what's happened in the past. I can't change how this person treated me. I can't change the fact that this is a part of my body at this point. So what's next? What am I going to do? What kind of life do I want to lead? What kind of relationship do I want to have? Do I want to have a relationship just to have a relationship, just with somebody who accepts me and maybe treats me like, not well? Or do I want to have a relationship with somebody who, it's like, that's not even a part of the thing, like, it's like we talk about our hopes and our dreams and like how we can support each other and how we can like turn each other on and like make each other feel like attractive and vital, it's not
big time.
Yeah.
And actually we were talking about this off camera earlier, but people with herpes often forget how just like dating, period, for anyone, whether it's male, female, young people, older people, for anyone, dating is hard. Finding someone that you actually connect with on multiple levels, and that connection resists like all the little fights and challenges of everyday life, big and small, is really hard. It takes time. So if you are like, I don't know, maybe in your 30s or something, at least you have a little bit of experience behind you to remember that you've tried to be in a relationship with people before when you didn't have herpes and it still didn't work. So don't beat yourself. You were saying like me, why me? It's like, well, why you with this thing, but other people are struggling with other things. It's a hard game for everyone out there.
Yeah, it is. It's a hard, and it's not for the faint of heart. And like getting what you want in a relationship and having a healthy relationship, like that should be, the focus, and not like, how am I going to be accepted with this thing? It's not just about that.
All right, I think we have covered all of the areas and topics that I wanted us to talk about. So thank you for coming here and like helping us make sense of this whole confusion, or at least that's how it appears when you are in the mindset of like, oh, how do I get back into this? Where do I start? If people want to contact you or chat with you, we're going to put your information in the information bar below. Well, if you think this video was helpful, please leave a thumbs up, and if you have some tips of your own that you have practiced into, you know, getting back in that place of self-love and cultivating self-love, put it in the comments below. If you want to reach out to me personally, you can DM me on Instagram at LoreenHD. That's it. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
And I'll see you soon.
Bye. Good luck.
Ciao.